Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to her Panwo TV on VidMe. I've got to apologise actually that I haven't actually uploaded anything to VidMe for a while. I've been busy with my book, which you've seen the trailer of that, and other things have got in the way. But I've decided to upload one to now. I haven't done one for a while. I'm going to do one now. Do you like my light? I mean, it's a bit brighter now, isn't it? I've put a little bit of an extra light on the subject, so hopefully that will improve the quality of the video, because I have like this extra. Some people will complain it's a bit dim and dark in this room, which I suppose it is. So I've got this extra light now, which should help things. This is another film review video, and it was Tanya Mills who actually gave me the idea of doing these film reviews, and when she reviewed a film that I'd seen. I don't know if she's actually seen this one. I've not checked through her catalogue yet lately, but this is a review of this film, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Now this is a 2004, I suppose it's kind of a romantic comedy, although it's not really fun. It's not really a comedy, I'd say. It's a romantic kind of surreal science fiction-y type drama, I suppose you could call it. It stars Jim Carrey there. He's in his, I think this is his most best-known non-comedic role. And there's Kate Winslet, and that was this almost won Kate Winslet an Oscar, her performance in this. But she did very well indeed. There's a couple of other people, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and a couple of other people, which you may know or may not know, some less well-known people. There's a good supporting cast in this film, actually, I must say. Now the title comes from a famous poem by Alexander Pope, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Very unusual title, and probably not the one I would have chosen for this particular movie. I don't know, I come up with something a bit more imaginative, a bit less esoteric, shall we say. But it's still, if you look at this and see the title, you might think it's a bit maybe highbrow, but it's very comprehensive. And critics loved it. Oh, you can't go against the critics, can you? Yeah. Anyway, this is a film that it's set around Valentine's Day, and I mean, I've watched it several times, but I watched it the last Valentine's Day, 2017, and I wrote a written review of it on her Panwo Voice, which this video is basically based on, although I'm going to add a few more things that were not in that written review. And it basically because, well, I split up from Sue Astain, my partner. We were together 8 years, and we split up. But we split up 3 months earlier at the end of October. I'm going to have to make an entire video about that. I don't want to go into details of that. But basically, I had an estranged lover, in the same way that Joel Barish, the main character in this, played by Carrie, had an estranged lover. I was I suppose, because we were together 8 years, I've got to be a bit personal about this, because this does affect me on a personal level because of that. Because we were together 8 years, 3 months feels recent. And so when Valentine's Day comes around, if you just split up from someone, you've been together a long time, and then Valentine's Day comes around, I just dropped something, excuse me a moment. It's kind of depressing, you know. It's difficult to get through that period when it happens. Now, doesn't mean I'm not cynical about it. Okay. I mean, Joel actually says in the film, he calls Valentine's Day a holiday invented by greeting cards manufacturers to make people feel like crap. Oh dear. Now, the setting of the film. Guess where this film is set? Have a guess. Well, where are about 3/4 of films in the world set? New York City, USA. Why is that? Why are so many films set in that one place, that one city? Now, if you walk along, it must be hard to walk through the streets of the Big Apple without bumping into a bloody film crew. The whole place is a damn studio. I mean, I know the thing about New York City is known internationally as a centre of culture. It's where there's lots of theatres, and there are things such as, I think all the major book publishers have their offices in New York. It could be because of that, but for some reason, film producers always want to set their movies in New York City. I don't know why that is. Anyway, the setting is contemporary New York City, and Joel has split up with his girlfriend Clementine, who is Kate Winslet's character. And she's called Clement. I don't know if Clementine is her real name, but she has orange hair, so it makes you think of a citrus fruit or something. So she's called Clementine. And as I said, her acting is excellent. She's a superb actress, and this almost won her an Oscar in this role. She was nominated for an Oscar and came close to winning. But this is where the science fictional element of the film comes in, because what happens is, through some pseudo-scientific process, both Joel and Clementine have their memory of each other erased. Now, sorry, there are going to be spoilers in this review. Okay, I can't talk about the elements of this film without putting in spoilers. They both choose to have their memories erased. They have their memories erased. Now, this is done appropriately by a company called Lacuna Inc. Now, of course, this is complete fantasy. There's no company that erases your memory. There's no known method, or at least publicly available, to erase people's memory. Although, well, actually, that's not true, is it? There are many ways they can erase people's memories. Through various means, through chemicals, through drugs, through the use of various other mind control methods, and of course simply through propaganda, through the news, things you have on the news. And George Orwell recognised this, didn't he? You know, Oceania has always been at war with East Asia. Eurasia are our allies. So instantly people forget. They essentially have their memory altered or erased through simple clever psychology to think differently, to have a different memory, to have a different view of the past. Now, this is different. This is somewhat different from that. This particular science fictional situation. His company uses a pseudo-scientific method, which is actually not explored in detail ever. You don't actually hear. It's never really described in detail exactly how this worked, but you get some clues. For example, what happens is the process goes like this: the customer must first collect all the objects that they associate with a person or event they want to forget, and they bring them into the Lacuna office. Then these two rather nerdy and immature technicians, who end up playing quite a major role in the film. I won't spoil that bit, don't worry, I won't. But basically they make a map of the memory by brain scanning you as you look at these objects. And then the company then disposes of the objects, so the patient won't find them lying around the house and wonder how the hell they got there. All the customer then has to go home. They give you give them a spare set of door keys for your house, and you go home, take some medication that renders you unconscious, and you basically spent the whole night unconscious. And while you are unconscious, it's not like sleeping; it's like a knockout drug. Then the technicians come into your bedroom and erase your memories while you sleep. And you wake up in the morning and they're gone. You eventually lapse into natural sleep. You wake up in the morning and they're gone. All your mutual acquaintances, that's you and the person you want to forget, are sent a letter from Lacuna explaining what has been done and asking you not to discuss the matter with the customer. And it's very, very interesting because, like, Joel goes home, he takes his medication, because he has this very acrimonious breakup with Clementine. She starts it by having him erased from her memory. Then he decides to get her erased, and he's very upset by this. He goes home, he takes his medication, he drops off to sleep. And then these technicians turn up, these two nerdy technicians, these rather stupid and unprofessional technicians. I mean, they have a kind of like wild party while in the middle of doing it. It's really stupid. It's really it's quite really funny actually. They're both very funny. But what happens is then they put like this. The method they use, basically they put this like what looks like a colander over the head of Joel. I'll show you a picture of it now. That's what they do. They put this over your head, and they have a computer that kind of like they work on this computer, basically zapping parts of your brain to erase the memory. Again, it's never really explained in detail how that works. But now what happens is Joel, the main action of the film takes place inside Joel's head. And this is what's really brilliant about this film. I mean, this is just it's so good, it's so well done. It's kind of, he has these surreal dreams, and it's like these dream sequences make up most of the action of the film. Of Joel. Joel is in these dreams with Clementine, but his memories of Clementine are being eliminated one by one. They're being annihilated by this process. And his dreams quickly become lucid, and he realises what's happening. He remembers. He suddenly remembers that he's having his. He went to Lacuna. He's had his memory. He's having an erasure from his memory, and he even opens his eyes and he sees the technicians at work. But he can't move or speak because he has this paralysing effect. It's like having sleep paralysis, which I get, which is not nice, I'll tell you. And then he realises that his memories of his lost love it includes a lot of joy as well as pain. And he regrets that he agreed to this memory erasure. And he realised it was just an instinctive reaction. He's hurt and he's angry with her because she's the one who dumps him. And that's why he did it. And he does, it's sort of impulsive thing. He wants to have his memory erasers in impulsive things. But he desperately longs to stop the process. He wants to keep the memories of her. And he tries so hard for as long as he can, but he fails. It's very moving, and it's as I say, it's extremely well done. It's really well filmed. This kind of surreal, lucid dreams he goes through. But there's also a supernatural element to this, because one of the last memories she has as Clementine before she completely vanishes is she whispers in his ear the words, "Meet me in Montauk." And the funny thing is, then afterwards they both do. They've completely forgotten each other. Well, maybe consciously, maybe subconsciously they don't, which is how it happens. But they end up meeting each other again in Montauk, and believing themselves to be total strangers. But then they discover their mutual history together and they reconcile. Now, the Montauk thing is I'll come on to that in a minute. But I'll just say that I would never ever have this done. Right? If I had the ability to forget Sue Astain, I wouldn't have it done. I'll make an entire video about her. Okay, because I'm going to have to, because it's driving me nuts. I can't talk to anyone else about it. And I mean, I treasure the memories of our 8 years together. Even though it's, as I said, I miss her terribly. I never want to see her again, but I miss her terribly. Human memory itself is fragile, and it naturally degrades. It naturally becomes distorted. There's conflation where you forget things, and you sometimes forget things. You sometimes forget people's names. Or you misremember them. That is what conflation is. For instance, if you watch a film when you're like 10 years old and you go and watch it now, if I went to watch it now, it wouldn't be exactly as I remembered it. And of course, there's things like the Mandela effect, which is a big subject. Maybe I'll go into that. That's too big to cover in this video. But memory loss happens naturally. Memory loss can happen as a result of very tragic disorders of the brain, Alzheimer's disease, strokes, things like that. But it can be rendered artificially through various means. The government, I believe, have means of psychotronic and psychological warfare that they have not revealed publicly. But I mean, I'll give you the example of Orwell. I mean, modern media services, they employ the world's top psychologists to assist them as consultants. So, I mean, a perfect example relates to, well, for instance, Muammar Gaddafi, president of Libya. Okay, he was president of Libya for 43 years, and Adam Curtis made a brilliant film about this recently. He was presented originally as the bad guy. Do you remember? And then suddenly he was the good guy, and then they went full circle, and he became the bad guy again. And eventually, Hillary Clinton organised, and her various connections, organised a coup in Libya, and she very, very humorlessly and facetiously said, "Oh, he came, he saw, he died." Goodness me, she almost became your fucking president, America. God, what a narrow escape. Anyway, as I was saying, well, Gaddafi was actually he was actually lynched in the street. A mob. He was beaten to death by a mob. But it said he got nothing for becoming the good guy for a while. But there's other methods. There's, as I said, there's drugs and there's direct biological intervention, which is what you see in this film. There's also electronic disillusionment of memory, EDM, and surgical modification of the brain, which can cause thought processes and various mental functions to change, which includes the ability to recall memory in a certain way. I believe this is going on. Now, the reason I bring this up is because this film is essentially about mind control, and it's very, very odd that a part of the film should be set in Montauk. Now, Montauk it's basically a small seaside town. You can go to it on Google Earth. It's a little seaside town at the very eastern tip of Long Island, which is this big, as I said, it's a long island off the coast of North America on the northeastern part of the United States. And one end of it is in New York City. The other end is this wild, rugged area of outstanding natural beauty, beaches and seaside resorts, and there's campsites and things like that. It's a good holiday resort, basically. It's also home to a disused military base, something called Camp Hero. Now, in the early 1980s, several people started coming forward with stories about that location. People like Preston Nichols, Stuart Swerdlow, Al Bielek, and they went public. And what they said was that the military base was actually, it was a front organisation for a secret underground psychological and psychotronic warfare research facility. Underground, beneath Camp Hero. Now, this was, guess what? It was dismissed as a conspiracy theory. Yeah. And no one ever believed them, including people who were conspiracy theorists, some of them. There's some new films actually been released about it. But then the Discovery Channel did an investigation. They did they sent Richard Dolan in there to check it out, and they found they had ground penetrating radar, and they actually located flooded tunnels. I mean, these are the tunnels underneath the base. They're flooded now, but they've been flooded by the sea. But they were in the exact spot that the witnesses said these things were. They're the exact spot. Which makes you wonder where the filmmakers get it. Makes you wonder where the people who made this film got their ideas from. I wonder. Montauk. They just happened to choose Montauk. Basically, this is a film. It's original. It's fun. It's thought-provoking. It's sad at times. It's moving. It's very, very good indeed, and I do recommend it. So thanks for watching this film review. And do watch the movie. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.